I'm Adam. I work as a test engineer at Polidea. It's nice to see you all here. In my work, I'm focused on manual and automated testing for mobile apps. And today, I would like to do some warm-up for you and ask you is there anyone in the audience who has any kind of experience with cross-platform apps? Oh, so? Okay. And do you have some kinds of experience with UI testing for those apps? Okay, nice. So today, I would like to talk about the revolution that touches the world of mobile apps. I mean, increase of popularity of hybrid apps. And also answer for the question if we are ready and well prepared for UI testing for those apps. I would like to start with a short introduction of the environment we are all here. Next, go to the overview of cross-platform frameworks, SDKs that allows for creating apps. Next, I will present, based on my experience from work, show some approaches for writing UI automation for those apps. And next, I will present my Detox guide for applying UI tests to React Native projects. Let's start with short introduction. In the past, it was a great season, gold season for software houses that deliver mobile apps. I mean, everyone, each customer was excited about mobile apps. I'm thinking about the time of first iPhone launch, so some time ago. And everyone was excited about mobile apps, and everyone wanted to have brilliant, amazing apps. So the typical project for software houses that drives mobile projects was to write two apps or just write another app to existing app for the client's product. And that indicates the structure of teams inside all organizations. We had two separated teams which delivers product for iOS and Android. This approach is okay because we combine knowledge of great experts in their technology. They write the native code. I mean, they follow language that they know the best and write amazing apps. But you can see that between those teams, we have a line. We can call this a kind of wall or something. I mean, we had some minuses from this. What I consider as a minus, we have duplicated cost of maintenance and project management. Some bugs are harder to fix when we have to repair two apps. And also, sometimes some architecture talks and any kind of agreements about the project are duplicated. So we have such a high increase of maintenance cost. But now, clients decided to see on their mobile apps a little bit different. They consider mobile app as an interface for their product. No one now is thinking how Airbnb or Uber app is amazing. We are more looking on the benefits we can get from this product. And clients see that also. So maybe from this reason, they decided to put their money in the different direction for maybe some commercial or some promotion in the internet. But the result is we have less money to spend on mobile development. And is a disaster for software houses or not? Software houses hanged this change and changes approaches of creating apps. They reorganized their teams into teams that are able to deliver one product for two platforms. I mean, we have combined specialists for Android and iOS who together write the same code that drives amazing products for clients. And is that okay? Yes, because we combine great experts of each platform. But one poor thing is they all write in new language. Usually when they create, for example, React Native app, they follow JavaScript, what is kind of exotical language for mobile developers, and they complain for this. But also, we reduce costs of maintenance. I mentioned before. We have one team which has the same sprint rituals and the same meetings, the same agreements. So I see a huge benefit that came from this. But good team has to find good weapons to fight with the new enemy, which is cross-platform approach in our world. First, and in my opinion, the most popular framework is React Native. React Native is a framework SDK delivered by Facebook some time ago. And you can find many apps that are using inside React Native. You can see that Instagram or Messenger, Uber are based on this technology. And I think everyone uses these applications, so it's working, it's okay. And we are well prepared for writing good apps with React Native. For example, Polidea launched great Bluetooth library for supporting writing apps that connect to some Bluetooth devices. So this framework is ready for challenges. Another framework we can use is Flutter. Flutter is the answer from Google to React Native. From developers that I work with, opinion is very good and promising framework, but still early aged. And it's hard to find many apps in the market running Flutter, but it's worth of highlighting. Another solution is Ionic. Ionic allows for writing the code in HTML for running mobile apps and also using the same components for website development. And the last option that I can present you is Xamarin. Xamarin is a product of Microsoft. All code is written in C#. And you can use Xamarin to write desktop apps and mobile development. OK, so now there is a question. If we have prepared development, do we have something for testing? I would like to present some approaches based on my research about React Native apps testing, UI testing. The first approach you can check is using native tools for dedicated platform. I mean, for Android, it will be Espresso, so natural choice for Android. And for iOS, you can use XCUITest. There are plenty of benefits from using native approaches. First benefit I can mention is that those frameworks are extremely fast. They are just fast as them running for native projects. So you don't have to think that your test execution will be very poor. And also, next plus I can mention is that they allow for writing code from the very beginning. You don't have to follow the complicated tutorial to apply tests to your project. You just use standard technology that you use for native apps and start just writing tests. Also, what is very helpful from my perspective, that native approaches came with wide support from community. You have many tools that allow for backend manipulations or setting up states of your emulator. And it's worth of using those tools to make your tests the most efficient as is possible. And last thing I would like to mention is support for cloud device farms. I mean, since I had a first contact with Cloud Device Farm, I'm a big fan of this technology. Why? Because you don't have to maintain costs of infrastructure in your office. You don't have to buy physical devices. You just have to configure integration of your project and service like Firebase, TestLab, or other. And with very reasonable cost, use access to many physical devices. It's great. But also, we can say about disadvantages. Using native approaches in project that is driven by cross-platform framework indicates that we have to inject another languages in our repo. So if we have all code inside repo written in JavaScript, we have to add Kotlin for Espresso and also Swift for iOS. From my experience, when we suggested this approach to the clients, they were not happy with this approach. They wanted to have only one code inside the repository. Of course, there's another big minus in this approach. We have duplicated test code. I mean, we have to write the same scenarios for two platforms 2 times. So if we will have to put some changes in test scripts, we have to do this 2 times. So it's very poor. Next approach, and maybe kind of treatment for disadvantages from native approach, is cross-platform black box test framework. The most popular is Appium. Appium is based on Selenium and allows for writing one code, test code, for both platforms. So in this place, we have many pluses, like we have support for many languages because Selenium is capable with Java, JavaScript, etc. So we can write in the language that we like and choose the proper one for our repo. Also, we have wide community. I mean, Appium is the most popular framework, so everyone had the same problems as we can meet in the past. So we can easily find the solutions for all our troubles in test development. I would like to highlight also that Appium has a great support for cloud device farms. You can find many tutorials how to integrate your project with device farms, and I know that many companies are using Appium because of this feature. But Appium is extremely slow. It's not a problem when we are running those tests in night. Test execution may be 2 hours, 3 hours, but putting any change in our test code and debugging this is terrible. It's a nightmare. Believe me. I was writing code in Appium some time ago, and I don't want to back to this framework. Also, when I was trying to use Appium for React Native test automation, I faced some problems with lack of stability. So maybe solution, a kind of medicine for problems from Appium and native approaches, is cross-platform white box test framework, or cross-platform white box cross-platform frameworks. For React Native, we have 2, the most popular. The first one is KV, and the second one is Detox. There are plenty of benefits from using these frameworks. Are extremely fast. I mean, they are the same fast, or maybe more faster than native approaches. Usually are easy in setup, so we don't have to read complicated tutorials how to apply this framework in our repository. It's simple. Because they are dedicated for specific tool, the specific cross-platform SDK, we have the same language as the main in the repository. So for React Native and Detox and KV frameworks, we have all code written in JavaScript. Also, what's important when we want to write more complicated tests and more efficient, we have close integration with code. I mean source code of our application. We are able to replace some modules in our app with some debug modified, and that's cool. And also, what is nice, we have nice API that allows for writing easy code. But we can face, for React Native and KV and Detox framework, we can face with problems with Cloud Device Farm integration. For Detox, we are not able to run our tests on physical devices, so we have to say goodbye for device farms. For me, it's very bad. Also, because those frameworks are early aged, we have no outspread community. We have to find solutions for our problems in internet or somewhere, and we can not find the answer for our troubles. And we can face many problems because Detox is quite new and support for Android is still early aged, and not all functionalities are running well. They claim this in their official tutorial, so we have to agree with some inconvenience when we decide for this. And now, based on my experience with React Native app and my research, I would like to present you automation guide for Detox, and I will present you how to apply UI tests to the React Native project. First, we have to look inside PACKAGE.JSON file. PACKAGE.JSON is a file inside React Native project where we hold the configuration and some dependencies for our app. So we have to add Detox section inside, and inside this section we have to declare configurations, one for iOS and one for Android. And inside those configurations, we have to declare the same fields. So let's start. First one is binary path, where we point to the directory on our disk where application is stored. You can see that for iOS it's app, so native format, and for Android it's apk, so the same. Next one, we have to declare build command. I mean, for iOS we are using standard Xcode build, we specify project, scheme, the same as for native project. For Android it's just Gradle task invocation. Another field we have to set is type. We set up that we call our test for simulator for iOS and emulator for Android. And the last one is name of target device. I mean, our test will start for iOS on iPhone X and for Android on Nexus device. Okay, but we have to make our apps testable. So have a look at very simple view. I implemented this by myself. Code is terrible, but it's not important now. On the left side, you can see JSX code. It's a description used for defining views. It's something like XML for Android. So you can see that we have some default button text, which is different than on button, but my implementation. And we have to extend this description file. We have to put 3 flags inside. First one is accessible and set it to true. Next one is test ID, and framework like Detox is using this flag for finding views. And the last one is accessibility label. It's not required for Detox, but I will present you how I presented you that it's worth of adding. And you can see that if we will look inside Xcode inspector, we will find test ID displayed as identifier. So you can see that our change is applied to native app. Next one, you can see that accessibility label is displayed as a description. So also change was applied. Now have a look inside UI Automator Viewer. It's a tool for checking hierarchy of view for Android. And you can see that accessibility label is displayed as content description. You can see that we don't have declared resource ID, which is the obvious choice of writing test-enabled code. We are not able to do this in React Native for some reason. And you can see that nowhere we can find button text. So if we will decide to not use Detox but native solution, we just only chance to avoid using text as selector is using accessibility label and content description. Due to limited time, I would not talk a lot about API of Detox. I will just mention the most important parts. First one is Detox object, which allows us to configure our test plan. So we have some methods for preparing our test suite. Next one is device object, which allows for writing code for implementing key events, gestures, device settings. We can change orientation of our device or perform some swipes. So like user interaction. And the last and most important part is section of matchers, actions, and expectations. We have some methods for finding our views, performing on those elements actions, and checking if our actions succeeded with some expected results. Let's have a look how to start with writing tests. We have to find INIT script, which is automatically added by Detox framework. And inside, we have to put JavaScript require Babel polyfill invocation. Next, declare Detox and say that require Detox module from our repository. Also declare config, and we point to the path. We point to the file PACKAGE.JSON, which we configured earlier. And have a look. We start with declaring before method. I mean, before method contains all actions that are required to launch before our test plan starts. So inside we load Detox we load our config inside Detox framework. And next, we declare after method. Inside after method, we just perform some cleanup after our test session. So we restore our device state, application state, etc. Let's have a look on test class. Inside test class, we scribe with JavaScript keyword describe and name our test class. In this case, it is example, but we can name this as login feature test or other. And we declare before each method, so we put some actions that are required to perform before each test starts. So in this case, we call await keyword, device object invocation, and reload React Native method. This method is used for reloading JS bundle inside our native app. So we don't have to terminate our app. We just perform hot reload of JS code. Next, we will put some validation if reload action succeeded. So we start with wait for. It is from Detox. Next, we call that we are waiting for element, and we will find this element using identifier. So you can see that I use by ID button text. So it's test ID declared before. And then we say that we are waiting for this element to be visible with limited time, 10 seconds. So now let's jump inside test case code. We start with IT keyword. Next, put name of our test case. It's great that we can declare the name of the method as a full sentence. It's something different than we use for native test cases where we have to follow the camel case. And I really like this in JavaScript. And we start with finding element, the same, by ID. This time we perform action, tab action. Next, we will be waiting for element with text press me to be not existing. So we are waiting for disappearing this element with limited time, 2 seconds. And next, we will add also another command to check if next item was displayed with 100 milliseconds timeout. When we have all test scripts prepared, it is worth of configuring a CI system for execution. In Polidea, we use GITLAB CI, and I will present you how to configure, integrate your test scripts written with Detox with infrastructure. I will not present any kind of optimization or good practices. I will just show you which actions are required for running our tests. So we have to start with, I will present the content of GITLAB CI YAML file. It's a file used for declaring jobs that are executed on CI infrastructure. So we start in GITLAB CI YAML file, declaring jobs. We can call this Detox test iOS and Android. We will put these jobs inside stage test because it's testing. And next we'll go to before script methods. Before script actions are called before the main script is launched. Inside before script for Android, we have to connect to Android emulator. It's something different than on iOS, so I presented this. Next, inside before script, we have to install all necessary components that Detox uses. For iOS, you have some Apple SIM-UTs. Of course, it will be already installed on your machine when you have iOS prepared infrastructure, but I presented this because it's required. Install components from Detox, so command line interface, React Native command line interface, and all dependencies from our project. For Android, we do almost the same. We install all required dependencies. You can see that we skipped dependencies required by iOS. Next, we'll jump to script. Inside, we had to launch the React Native Packager. Packager is a tool for injecting JS code, JS bundle inside native application. You can see that we use ampersand to move this process to the background. That's because without this ampersand, we will wait forever, and we will not succeed with our job. Just GitLab will wait on this command and never finished. So we have to move this to the background. Next, we call Detox build command from Detox framework. You can see that for iOS, I specified iOS configuration. It's from PACKAGE.JSON. And for Android, I declared Android emu debug config. Next, we call Detox test command, and you see the same configurations. And the last thing and the most important is to kill our React Native packager. I had a problem that all my tests passed, but job hanged on last stage, so it was test. I had to find which process is running on specified port. I use custom port to avoid situation that I killed something unneeded. So the last step is to kill this process, and then we are able to finish job execution. For Android, also, one second. For GitLab, we are using tags to specify environment which we use for running those jobs. For iOS, we use environment called like Xcode and version. So we have different components, different machine used for running. And for Android, we have Android emu, where we have configured environment for running Android builds. What is different between Android and iOS? That we connect service We connect service with emulator. We use our custom solution for this because of problems with Play Services versions. I mean, we were not able to run our tests for our apps with emulators that were not updated to the latest version. When we follow the official manuals from Google and other places, you will not find this approach, but we built our own strategy and we use it. We call that we are waiting for Android emu Docker image inside, and we call this as Pixel because we would like to fire our tests on Pixel device and use entry point, some script for creating Android emulator with proper properties. And now it's time to show how does it work. Okay, you can see that in upper terminal I launched tests on iPhone, and in the bottom one I launched tests for Android. You can see that for iOS it's starting. You see now exactly execution. So only 4 tests and everything passed. And now starting testing for Android. The same code for tests running on 2 devices. If you don't want to follow cross-platform frameworks approach, or your app's architecture is too complicated to apply those frameworks, you can still use native solutions. It's okay, it's efficient, and you will not have too many problems with this. But if you want to try with cross-platform frameworks, you can avoid code duplication for your project and enjoy some benefits that came from this approach. If you will decide for this strategy, I recommend you using Detox for React Native apps as a great tool. I think that Android support will come very soon, and then it will be ready for almost all apps that are usually developed. If you have any questions, so now you can ask, or maybe we can also talk after in the break or after our meetup. Do you have any questions?
Was it alternative for Detox?
For Detox, it was a KV. KV is a framework that offers almost the same functionalities, but from my experience, it requires more deeper changes inside code. And also, when I tried KV for the first time, I think half a year ago, then command line interface was not developed, was completely not existing. So I wasn't able to connect KV tests with our infrastructure, so I decided to not using this framework. Recently, I tried Detox for the next time, and support for CI integration is okay, but the requirement of deep change inside our tested app for me is unacceptable when we are thinking about framework for applying tests. Do you have any?
How often do you succeed in convincing your clients to develop UI tests?
Okay, for a cross-platform project, yeah. Usually, when we are starting some project, native or cross-platform, we are saying from the beginning that we want to apply UI tests because we believe that allows for reducing costs of fixing bugs. So for native apps and for cross-platform apps, we follow the same strategy. And for native apps, I think we apply tests for all starting projects. For cross-platform, we fire our test integration with project, but sometimes we face some problems, and then we have to stop with this. I mean, for one project we develop in Polidea, we are using Expo framework library. It's kind of helper that allows for easier writing code. but using Expo indicates that we are not use Detox for testing, and only alternative for this was using Appium or native solutions. And when client was not happy with native solutions and we are not happy with Appium, we have to put some research how to apply those tests in repository. So we are for each project we are doing our best to find the way how to integrate, but not always we succeed. But usually we start with writing those tests. Okay, if it's all, thank you for hearing my presentation. And if you are interested about some testing materials or just development, you can see articles on Polidea blog. I write some articles on this blog, so I invite you. So once again, thank you very much.